Hello and welcome to this episode of the Humans of Horses podcast. My name is Elle and I am the human of three wonderful horses, Fion, Zirconia and Morgan. And with me today is Maddie. Maddie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you for having me. So I'm Maddie. I am 25. I have two horses, Dancer and Pie. My family run a Paddock Paradise livery based in Shropshire called PB Paddock Paradise. I do all like the admin and the writing, and kind of like the social mingling for that, social media, stuff like that. And I also run a Paddock Paradise and Natural Horse Care magazine. I release like digital and print now. It started off as digital, but I do like quarterly issues, and it's kind of everything. Natural horse care, natural diet, obviously track systems, Paddock Paradise, but we do a lot on barefoot hooves and all sorts. So yeah.
Yeah, and I am the happy owner of one copy of your printed version, so
I
because I
hope you
finally
like.
got round to ordering it. Yeah. No, I really was like, you know what, I'm gonna just get it, and I got it, and it's a little bit disheveled, I have to admit, but it's really great, and it's so nice to have a magazine about track systems and like natural horsemanship care, not natural horse care. Oh, can't talk English. Um, but
Yeah.
do you mind me asking? Because obviously, I don't know how you feel about this. Because I was in the Netherlands for 6 years and I saw a massive increase in track systems being set up over there. And I know you've done some pieces on, I think it was Brinkerhoven, wasn't it?
Yes.
You did a feature piece on that. And do you feel like there's been a significant growth in the last few years in the UK?
Oh, absolutely. Even in commercial track liveries, there's been huge increase in how many are available. People are setting up tracks at livery yards as well. A lot of people are doing it at like traditional, kind of in like traditional settings or on like rented land. Um, I know it's definitely here anyway. It's become much more of a kind of known concept. But yeah, absolutely. The amount of people that are kind of at least aware of what it is now, whether they use it or not, the awareness has definitely increased around kind of what track systems are and the values that kind of align with track systems, which is obviously great. That's what we
Yeah,
want. But yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the more people know about it and the more that they can, even if they don't use a track system to begin with, at least if they're incorporating other aspects of natural horse care, which they kind of go hand in hand, um, it's like great because obviously we just want the best life possible for our horses. And by kind of incorporating different things like that, we're doing it. So yeah, it's great. It's definitely more so the last 2 or 3 years, at least I think. We've just had a huge surge in like commercial tracks and obviously people that know about it as well.
Yeah. So on that note, because I know how I got into track systems, but how did you get into them? And do you want to also explain what they are in case people don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start off explaining what a Paddock Paradise track system is then. So Jamie Jackson was a farrier turned natural hoof care practitioner. He did research over the period of like 4 years on the wild and free roaming horses of the Great Basin. Through that research, he kind of saw how they were traveling, how these horses were behaving, what they were eating, and he came up with the concept of the Paddock Paradise track system. So essentially, in a very kind of simple way of describing it, it is a kind of like track around the perimeter of your field. Now, the idea is that you have different hay stations and feeding stations. So instead of like your traditional management methods like paddocks or stables, the idea is that we replicate what they would have done naturally in the wild, but in domesticated settings. So you kind of like place your water at like one part of the track, and then you kind of distribute hay at other parts of the track, and you include bits of enrichment and shelter and stuff like that. And the idea is that they move for their food. They travel in herds. The whole concept kind of interlinks with natural horse care in general. So he created what we call the 4 pillars. Um, it's a reasonably natural diet, natural boarding, which is like the paddock paradise concept. There is natural horsemanship, and then the natural trim, or obviously just a trim. So yeah, it's basically an alternative way of managing horses in like a more species appropriate kind of way that meets a lot of their needs. It means that they're turned out 24/7. They're off like inflammatory forage, so they're predominantly like on ad lib hay, normally netted. It means that they're socializing and they're living in herds, which is like really important for their mental health. And then obviously there's the physical side of it as well. So they're moving all the time, and that's really important for like different aspects of their physical health. Um, so yeah, that's kind of that in a nutshell. It's quite, if you really, really go into it, it's quite like complex subject with like a lot of things that link to each other. But I personally originally got into track systems through my family. So my mom is the reason that I kind of I do what I do, and I run this magazine. So when I was little, I had a pony named Dewberry. For I think it was my 7th birthday. She was like a rescue pony, absolute like a menace, absolute menace. She was the cheekiest, naughtiest little pony. Like I remember riding her, and she'd like dump me in puddles all the time, and she'd sell off with me somewhere. But she was brilliant. But she came down with laminitis, and she was diagnosed with EMS. Um, she'd been neglected before we had her. Obviously, she was a rescue, so she'd just been able to kind of like gorge on grass and was just left to defend herself. So when we had her, we didn't realise how prone she was or how compromised she was. So from what I know, obviously I was quite young when it happened. My mum tried to follow traditional methods of like keeping horses and to help her kind of heal. Soaked restricted hay, stabling, shoes, all that stuff to try and combat her laminitis. It didn't work, and the vet was kind of like, look, I think you might need to put it down. And my mum was like, absolutely not. She's still got a twinkle in her eye. So she did a bunch of research. She went off to Your Horse, met a natural hoof care practitioner that had a stall there, Angela Corner, and she was an ISN HCP practitioner, which is Jamie Jackson's kind of trimming organisation, the guy that created the Paddock Paradise. And from there, my mum took her shoes off, turned around, she made a full recovery, and that kind of blossomed into keeping our other horses like that. And then as I got older, I was 17, 18 maybe, when we opened as a commercial track livery. At that point, like, I'd already seen the benefits of keeping horses this way. And we'd had friends' horses keep this way, and my mum had done some rehab work, kind of like on the side of her normal job, in the same way that she helped Dewberry get better. And then yeah, I've always loved horses. I've always been obsessive with horses. and my love for them kind of grew when I saw how they are just being. Um, so yeah, I kind of got into tracks that way. And then the magazine and obviously our like family's track kind of grew. And then I started the magazine about 2 years ago, or just approaching 2 years ago. But yeah, basically very short kind of story about how we got into it. But it was over a very long time, really. I think we've been tracking for over 15 years now.
Wow.
Never go back. It's
Yeah.
for me, and how like we we rehab and stuff like that. We specialize in laminitis and EMS, rehab and management. And we've seen horses go from absolutely crippled to completely different. Even their mood changes. A lot of them are like in low grade pain, and it affects their like ability to socialize, or they don't like people, they don't like being touched. And to see them completely change and transition into a horse that loves being with other horses and comes over every time you're there for a kiss and a cuddle, or you can just kind of see the light come back into their eyes. For me personally, there'll never be any other way of keeping horses, especially in the UK where land is so like limited. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's
It's funny you say it's limited in the UK. It's even more limited in the Netherlands, I can tell you that.
oh, I can imagine.
Because I get a lot of comments, because obviously I'm trying to look for somewhere to keep my guys, preferably in Somerset and not 2.5 hour drive away like they currently are. But, I sort of looking and people say, oh, you'll need at least 4 acres. I was like, there's people in the Netherlands who make tracks out of like 1,600 meters squared, so pretty sure I don't need 4 acres. Like,
I'm pretty
it's
sure some of the interviews I've done with people, they've had tracks on like half an acre or an acre.
yeah,
It's
exactly. There's
absolutely doable.
1,600 meters squared, yeah, and that's what's so amazing about it is that you can still get everything they need from such a much smaller space. And I also said this as well. I've said this to a few people recently, because obviously we have a hay shortage coming up in the UK, if
Yeah.
not already impacting us. And I said I've got like grass in the middle of my field, which it's seeded. It's special seed for laminitic horses. Um, but it's there, and if I run out of hay, I know I've got that grass. Whereas if you've got an open paddock, that grass is stressed, very high in sugar, and there's not going to be much of it left now, and it's just going to get trashed in the winter. So
Yeah,
it's just,
absolutely.
what I find so hard is explaining to someone who doesn't accept the track system, like the benefits of it, because they just don't want to accept it. So if you had someone come to you with that, what would you say?
Well, like not understanding kind of like the benefits that a track offer, or
Yeah,
more so
because I
than
I posted a post once saying, I'm looking for land to rent and I want to put up some plastic poles and set it up in a track. So it's like temporary, it's not even surfacing, nothing. And I got so many comments like, horses on tracks are aggressive, like it's really bad for their mental and physical health, and it's so unsightly. And I thought, yeah, and your stable blocks aren't unsightly. Like,
yeah, I'll tell you, it's definitely frustrating dealing with those type of people.
Mm.
I've come to learn over the years, kind of, I've had to grow thick skin doing my job as well. But I've come to learn there's like normally a few different types of people. So, I think there's people that just lack the knowledge or haven't ever considered another way of keeping horses, and it's more so they haven't because they don't know, sort of thing. Those people normally are quite open-minded and you can work with them. Um, but yeah, the people you're talking about, um, I completely understand understand the frustration. I think I've always thought as understanding a track and understanding your horse also involves personal growth as a person. I think it requires you to admit that maybe you haven't always done things in the best way, or you've made mistakes, or you know, we're constantly learning as owners because that's what our horses deserve, and you have to have an open mind to do that. Um, but yeah, in terms of like the benefits, there are so many benefits to track systems. It's like it's endless. But yeah, to me, it's a lack of understanding normally. You're not willing to try and understand why maybe a track would work. Um, or I find that some people try tracks and then don't do it in the right way, and then they go, the track didn't work for me, which
Mm.
normally comes down to either not, again, doing your kind of research before setting up a track. Like, there are many moving parts that make a track successful, and not everybody, unfortunately, does set up and manage a successful track. Um, so yeah, I think there's a million and one reasons, but to me, biggest is kind of more as a personal thing, finding it hard to kind of open your mind and perhaps look at why tracks might be beneficial, why they kind of align with the species as a whole. Um, but yeah, there's so many benefits. It's
Yeah.
yeah, unreal, really. It's even now, um, like our commercial track's been open uh 8 years, I think, and like I said, we've been using track systems for personal use for over 15. Um, and in that time, like, still now, like, I learn so much just purely about the benefits of a track. You learn more and more and more. Um, but I think, like I said, that involves keeping an open mind. And the people that aren't willing to give tracks a chance, or at least consider them, um, as a potential management option, unfortunately, I don't think are probably in a place personally to keep an open mind, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I'm trying to say it
No, it
without
doesn't.
offending anybody.
um, a question that came up for me was, what are some of the common errors that lead to an unsuccessful track?
Ooh, okay. Now you're asking. There's a lot. I'll be honest. It's very easy to mess up. For me, again, like, the Paddock Paradise track system works in conjunction with the other four pillars. So I think one of the biggest reasons that they don't work is because tracks are used without considering the other kind of components. So I could set up a track system, not do my research beforehand, um, and then turn my horses out onto it. And if they've got grass on the tracks, for example, that is not suitable for the horses, like, unfortunately a lot of places aren't, um, that will interfere with not only the movement that they get on track and how the hay stations function, but you're also not removing the inflammatory trigger that tracks are meant to kind of prevent happening. Um, there's also keeping horses not in herds. So, like, some people just turn a horse onto a track and it won't work. Normally it won't work if you do that, because the herd kind of encourages movement, and that's like a really important part of their mental health as well. Um, I would say, yeah, mainly not getting those things in place. So someone can set up a track, but the diet won't be right, or their um their hoof care is not right, or they live by themselves. Those all kind of fit together to make the track successful. The only other thing I would say outside of that normally is not giving your horse or the herd patience to adapt to a track if they've not been on a track before. It does require quite like a transitional period, especially if horses have been kept in a traditional management way before. They can develop things like social anxiety or resource guarding behaviors. So that can be difficult for them to go from like stabling and kind of pasture turnout to, and maybe like living in their own, for example, to like living in a herd or being required to move. um there might be pre-existing conditions that also affect that, and rather than wait, kind of like give the horse time to figure things out and to
Mm.
adapt as you go. A lot of owners kind of expect quick miracle cure fixes type things, and when they don't get that, um they kind of give up, which I find is a lot of reasons when is why people like set up track and then go back to paddock, um, keeping them on paddocks and stables. Um, it's because they haven't given them that patience or that time to kind of adapt. I mean, one big issue that we get at the livery is so many horses come with resource guarding issues. Now that can be because
Mm.
like they're stabled and they run out of hay overnight, or it can be because they've been laminitic or they have EMS, and part of the traditional protocol for treating that is like restricted weighed hay, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of them come with resource guarding issues, and getting on top of that issue alone, where they might not want to share with other horses, or they might not understand that they need to move from one hay station to another. Um, that in itself can take up to 12 months, if not over, to resolve. So it really is like a time issue a lot of the time. Um, and yeah, I would say those two are probably the biggest. I'm sure there's a lot, like pressure from friends. There's one like,
Mm.
people get a lot of abuse or just genuinely not nice stuff from other people if they're at livery yards and they've got a track, or um there's stuff like that that all play into it. But for me, through the people that I've worked with, normally it's not having all the parts in place to make the track successful.
Yeah, that's really interesting as well. Because I've seen various track setups, various herd setups, and when Theon, my gelding, lived at the first track that I saw him on, which was prior to me owning him, they had like, the best way to describe it was they had like a sandbox and then a track down the middle of two grass sides, and then there was like a place they could turn at the end, like a turning point.
Yeah.
And there they restricted the food. And for Theon, that didn't work because he was bottom of the pecking order, because when you restrict the food like that, it encourages dominant behavior. And I believe, I'm a firm believer that if all their needs are met, you will not see any dominant behavior between members of a herd. They will communicate that they want space from another herd member, but there's no dominant horse when all the needs are met. And here we had a dominant horse, and Theon was just bottom of the pecking order. He was constantly moved. So what I found frustrating is that they were given hay at 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. And I'd often get there, and I'd get there at like 1 or 2 and the hay was empty.
Yeah.
And I knew they were stressed, but I told them, I was like, I can't give anything to you because I'm not, like, I don't own you. I don't have a say in this. And it was
Yeah.
really, really frustrating. And then when I moved Theon, or when I bought him, we made sure that, me and his previous owner made sure that we found somewhere where he would have 24/7 access to hay. And it took him years to get over that feeling of, I've got to move, there's another
Yeah.
horse here, I've got to move, I can't eat with this horse. And bless him,
Yeah.
like, he was so anxious because he was like, I gotta move, and he was like tense in his body. And now he actually tells the other girls to like F off.
Well, no way.
He's
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
yeah, this is my hay. Like,
but that's like actually like a perfect example of not having that like diet thing in place,
hmm.
because it's not just like obviously what they eat, but how they eat. We give ours ad lib hay, and yes, some horses might put weight on whilst they adjust to ad lib hay.
Mm.
Like we've never not had a horse that hasn't been able to self-regulate. But yeah, that's a perfect way. If they're constantly running out of hay, of forage, it is going to stress them out, and it is going to cause conflict within the herd. And the idea is that they're constantly got access to something, and then like the herd issues that you find in those situations tend to sort themselves out as well. Like you said, it's about making sure um like they've got access and they're not being bullied and everyone's got something,
Mm.
so there's loads and loads of parts that kind of go into it, I think. But that, to me, that was a perfect example of kind of like why
Yeah.
a track might not work the way it's supposed to.
I remember an article my mum told me about, and I think it was called Starving Your Horse Fat. And it explains about like the how when you restrict the foods, because obviously wild horses basically they can eat all day if they want to. And when you restrict the food, it creates a spike in the hormone leptin, and then
Mhm.
that drives them to then gorge when they do have the food, and then that affects their insulin levels. So their whole, like, we talk about homeostasis in humans, their whole homeostasis, like horse homeostasis, I don't know if it's the same word, but their whole horse homeostasis is dysregulated, and that does take time to fix. And like you said, you made a really good point that when they first do get ad lib hay, that might mean that they have weight gain to
Yeah.
begin with. But if given the chance and under the right circumstances, that will then level out, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like a part of that people overlook is if if you're going to give your horse ad lib hay, in my opinion, they should, um, then you also have to get them to move. You can't just give them ad lib hay and then let them kind of never move and just scoff their faces, because they will get that weight gain, and you don't want the weight gain as well. It's not great for their joints and stuff like that. So I think that's like
No.
another part people like really overlook, is how when you do give them ad lib hay and they are figuring it out and they are trying, like their bodies are adjusting, their minds are adjusting, it is a lot for them. Getting that movement in that is encouraged by the track system naturally is super important, because there's no negative effects to providing forage, whether that's ad lib or not, but providing forage in general, in the manner that wild horses would eat in nature, is really, really good for their guts. And increased movement is also really, really, really good for their body, for their joints, for their lymphatic fluid circulation and their blood circulation and all sorts. Um, but restricting movement and restricting forage, they both come with, rather negative results, So I I think like that's a really important aspect. If you get them to move, even if they are figuring it out and they have gained weight, you are, one, doing wonders for their bodies anyway, because movement's good
Mm.
for them. But two, you're also counteracting the amount of calories they are consuming whilst they figure it out. Which I think loads of people forget, that part of providing the ad lib hay is also making sure that they move in a way that they would in the wild, they would naturally, without kind of like our interference. So
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So in the Netherlands, my guys initially were on a bigger track, but then I shared the land with some friends, and we agreed that we'd just keep our horses separate because we knew mine would move at some point and
yeah,
probably within a year. So we didn't think it was fair to let them integrate for them to then leave. So we
yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
described it as they had each other to watch as like Netflix. Because it was funny because sometimes they were zooming around and my guys were watching them, and then my guys were zooming around and then they were watching my guys. So
Free
it's really
entertainment.
hilarious. Yeah. But what I found amazing is I had people say, oh, so, your horses, you must exercise them a lot. And I was like, no, they exercise themselves. And their track was like a small sandbox. It was like 20 by 15 meters. And then the track itself was 150 meters long, and it was sounds, but that was enough for them. They had a turning pad
Yeah.
at the end, and they just exercised and moved, and they'd sleep here and drink there and eat there, and yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? When people are like, "Oh, you must exercise your horse a lot," and I'm like, no, they exercise themselves."
Yeah. My horse, like my own personal horses, I don't ride. Like I have a few chronic health conditions, so I just don't ride. I just enjoy spending time with them. But so
Mm.
my horses and 90% of the horses on our livery aren't exercised. They just, like you said, they exercise
Move.
themselves just by living and being on the track. It really is great for movement and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned them, would you like to talk about your horses?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm given any chance to talk about my horse, I will. Yeah, so I'll talk about Dancer first. She, I think, is about 15. I am terrible with everybody's birthdays, including my horses, so I think she's 15. But I've had her from 18 months old. Um, my mum went to buy a horse, when I was a kid, really. And she went to view this horse, and in the stable next to her was this really scrawny little thing that my dad saw. And my mum was like, I think it was my dad actually. He was like, "We'll buy that one, but that one's got to come too." She was actually off to the meat market, so my dad was like, "That is not happening." So we came back with two horses instead of one. And she was this big, like, baby, lanky thing. Um, yeah, I've had her, yeah, since she was 18 months old. She is my absolute world. I love her more than anything. Um, and yeah, she's always been barefoot. She's always been on track bar those 18 months. So, considering I've never ridden her, you could take her for a ride, like however many hours, and you could walk her over anything, and she's absolutely solid. And then there's also Pi. So, Pi came into my life in 2018, originally as a livery. Um, I can't remember, but I think he was there for rehab. He'd had episodes of laminitis before, and I think he'd had his suspensories cut. Um, so yeah, he came for rehab, and he was with us for about a year. And then his owner at the time, he got fit enough and well enough to be ridden again. And originally we started as like retirement and rehabs only. So his owner moved him somewhere locally where she could ride. And then we didn't hear anything um off her for a few years, and then a few years after she comes back, she's like, could we move back? I can't exactly remember why. So Pi came back on the livery, and all his old friends were still here, so we just fit in right away, and it was really, really nice to see. And then his owner at the time ended up moving countries and asked my mom if she wanted him. Now, I've been with my fella for 5, nearly 6 years, um, and at the time I was trying to ride again, um, and I was trying to get my fella into riding, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So I was like, "Mum, if you buy Pi, then Josh has got someone to ride." So yeah, Josh, I kind of nicked him. Josh was meant to have him to learn to ride on, because he was an excellent riding pony. He was riding horse. He was brilliant. Um, but yeah, Josh was meant to have him. I nicked him, and then I stopped riding anyway,
Oh,
and
that's
I
so
was just
funny.
like, "Oh, okay, I'll have him then." So yeah, he became. I think I've had him for like 3 years now. He, bless him, he's not the smartest in the world, but he is the loveliest. He's so funny, he's so dopey. And he'll eat anything, whether it's edible or not. But yeah, between the two of them, I just love spending time with them. Um, they're brilliant. I did have my childhood pony, Penny. She passed away about a year and a half ago. But I'd had her a few years after Dewberry, so I'd had her again like 15 years. So she was my childhood pony, and then I also had a old man named Bramble, who passed away like a year before that. Who we bought off my mum's, like a family friend, who was having health issues and just wanted to give him to a loving home. So yeah, at the moment I just got Pie and Dancer, and they're brilliant. Brilliant. Caused me so many issues. They are both. Dancer more so. She's absolutely mischievous, and she will. I think because like she's always been allowed to be like that silly horse. Like I've never really asked anything of her. She's just been allowed. She's been in the same herd for what did I say? Like 15 years. So yeah, same herd for ages. She's lived in the same place. I've never really asked anything of her. And it's one of the things that I love most about her is that she's just so like almost she's got like this innocence to her where she just behaves in a way where she's not endured any like abuse or neglect, or she's not been treated in a way that's had a negative effect to her mental health. Like a lot of the horses we get, we have to work through a lot of issues. She's just like unapologetically herself. It makes me really happy. It like oh yeah, it's the best thing just knowing that she's had a life where she's like, yeah, I can be an absolute terrorist and it's fine. They love me.
Yeah, I have one like that. My
Such a good
parents
feeling.
nickname her the bulldozer.
Oh God.
So she'd lived where she lives now for 2 months and wrecked multiple bits of
Oh no.
woodwork. Let's leave it at that. And I told her, I was like, these have been here for like 20 plus years, and then you've been here 2 months and you've bulldozed them to the ground.
She's like, not anymore.
Not normal.
Oh, mine kept
What's
biting the wind wipers off the car. So she'd pull them off, or she'd like bite the wind mirrors. So it's like my mum and dad's truck's got like bite marks in it. Absolute menace.
what's one of the most outrageous things she's ever done?
Oh, now you're asking. What's one of the most outrageous? There's been a lot. I mean, when she was younger, she got a hold of the hose pipe and she ran around with it and absolutely covered everybody. She's broken so much stuff as well. Like if you leave the back of the truck open, like she'd pull it all out and she'd be going through it. I remember between her and we've got a little Shetland named Dennis, they'd managed to get my my grooming bag out of the back of the truck. And you know that blue spray that you spray like injuries with, the vet stuff? Yeah, between the two of them, they'd managed to get that out of my bag and they stamped on it and they painted another Yeah, they painted like themselves and another horse bright blue. So, yeah. Yeah, she's
really bad. They're like, oh, we can see each other better now because we're blue.
It's for visibility purposes. Absolute menace. Yeah. Yeah, she's a lover of iron brew as well. Bless her. I can't drink iron brew without her wanting some. So, yeah.
I love it when they're like when you're eating something or drinking something and they're really curious about it. Like Fionn tried to eat a mozzarella and ham sandwich the other week.
Oh God.
And I'm just like, Fionn, it's pig. Like you don't want to eat that. But he's like, ooh, this smells really good.
No, I do. No, I do want to eat that, trust me.
This is a bit of a tangent, but I had chickens briefly in the Netherlands, and I didn't realise chickens are cannibals.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Well, newsflash to anyone
gosh.
listening and yourself.
Yeah. Wow. So do they eat each other or do they just eat meat?
So the way I found this out was we were having a barbecue at the horses, and they were very interested in what was on the barbecue, which was chicken. and
Oh no.
they managed to grab a piece without us realizing, like off the grill, because it was not very high up, and they just pulled it off and ate
Yeah.
it, absolutely like disheveled the whole thing.
Oh my God. I I don't know how I would react to that. Mate, that's your mate. You've just eaten your buddy. Oh no. Well, note taken if I ever have chickens, you know.
They
Don't
also
let
love
them.
well, they pretty much eat anything. Like I've seen them eat fries. Um,
Oh,
what
I had
else
a
do they eat?
pony that ate a lot of the McDonald's chips.
Oh
That was
no.
Penny actually. She loved the McDonald's chips. Absolutely loved them. It was like the best thing since sliced bread for her. Oh,
What I love about horses is like how they all have. I mean, it's guess if it's a bit like us, isn't it? They have their favorite sort of treats, and by that I mean fruit or vegetables. Like Zirconia loves celery. Everybody else thinks celery is the worst tasting thing in the world. Um,
yeah.
Theon will go mad for banana, but won't eat banana skin. But then Morgan, like the other day, I ate banana. I left banana skin on the table, and she guzzled it up, the whole
Oh,
thing.
bless them.
I was like, well, that saves me putting that in the bin then.
It's definitely interesting, but it's a bit of a pain when like you're preaching, well, not like preaching, but like you know, you go on about the importance of diet and you know, species appropriate living, like you know, like we do, and your horse at the same time is trying to eat your Wotsits. You know, it's not great. Like, I don't think you would eat that in the wild, mate. I don't think that's suitable. But yeah, they're great.
Yeah. What's what's like one of the biggest things your horses have taught you?
Oh, okay. Um, I think a few things really. Two major ones really would be um so because I've had like bad health since I was a kid. And I'm now disabled and I have to manage the various conditions. And I found out I was ill probably around like 9 or 10. Up until then, I loved horse riding. I was obsessed with it. And, you know, like the county shows that you take your pony to on like a Sunday, um, you know, I used to do that all the time. And when I got ill, I got really ill at one point and I became bedbound for quite a while. And it kind of turned my world upside down. But my focus up until then, don't get me wrong, I loved my ponies. I was a kid, obviously, but after that, it taught me, or they taught me, should I say, the gift of just being with them. I learned to appreciate what was right in front of me and just spending time with them and observing them in like a more natural setting where they're with the herd and they're grooming and the foraging and they're just being horses and they're being themselves without me interfering. Um was like quite a monumental thing to how I kind of view horses now. You know, like I th- most don't get me wrong, every now and then I miss riding, but I think now, even if I had the choice, I don't think I would ride because I just to me they've shown me kind of like the beauty in just existing and just being. Um and that grounds me as well. Like I feel like that really helps me reconnect. So that's more of like a personal one for me and how I kind of looked at horses growing up and how that changed. Um And also, I think they've kind of taught me that I always need to keep an open mind and I always need to learn. You know, I will never get to a point in life where I know it all or I will never be 100% right or I might be completely wrong sometimes, you know. Um, they've taught me the importance of kind of keeping an open mind and also listening to them. I've learned just how important it is to listen to your horse and to act accordingly, and to try to your very best, take like ego out of it and like personal feelings out of it, and try to do right by them in that situation. I don't think I would think about them in the same way had I not have gone through this whole thing and kind of seen, not just my own horses, but multiple horses, like learnt the lessons that they were there to teach, sort of thing.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot, but yeah, to me, like definitely just learning to keep an open mind and to listen to them. Because at the end of the day, like the horses are the best teachers, aren't they?
Mm.
They're the ones we should be learning from. So yeah.
That is really, really, really beautiful.
Oh,
Everything you
thank
just
you.
said was just really lovely. And yeah, my spine tingled a few times. So
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. I'm glad it didn't just come out in like complete mush. So,
I think what I wanted to ask you was um how has your disability shifted your relationship with yourself and with your horses?
um, well, that's a good question. um, it's definitely made me tougher as a person. Um, and for me, with the rehabs especially, because I'm in pain so much of the time, and I have so many physical um obstacles that I have to face on a daily basis. It really opened up my eyes, because I obviously, like I said, I live with those things. How difficult it must be for horses that are living with conditions like EMS and laminitis, and seeing them go from um affected both physically and mentally by their condition to completely different and loving life. Um, it My own experience with those struggles has really kind of opened my eyes to how difficult it must be, especially when you've not got a voice to exist with that.
Mm.
And I think it's also made me more compassionate. In general, I think. I mean, you go through phases when you like live with a disability. You kind of go through phases. At least I have over like the last 15 years, where it's easier sometimes than it is others. And I think when you go through like those really low lows, and then you go through highs where um you know life just is easier, and you love spending time with your horses, or you can spend time with your horses. It really, at least for me, has made me very grateful for just having them, and compassionate to their kind of situations and what they endure. A lot of these horses, like I said, kind of arrive kind of from all sorts of backgrounds, and I think some of them are so misunderstood as well.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I hope that's answered your question. It's kind of a thinking. I'll go away and think about that more, and I might have a different kind of answer. But I would definitely say it's just helped kind of seeing past maybe what we would put down as like behavior issues or quirks and stuff like that, and kind of genuinely understanding that to live in pain or to live with certain physical limitations really is difficult, and to live like that without a voice, without having the ability to do anything about it, as because they depend on us, must be very difficult. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't know
I
if
think
that
that's
answers your
such a
question.
key. No, but it's such a key point to remember, isn't it? That animals can't tell us they're in pain. Like, we can so easily judge them um, for a certain behavior, or like, I kind of feel almost, well, I learnt from it, but I feel a bit bad. Like, I let Fion down because for a long time, this time of year, basically, when we start to get the autumnal weather, um, he was always quite loopy and running around and being a lunatic, and I was a bit like, ugh, Fion, and yeah, and I'd just been told, and I just accepted, well, this is just how he is at this time of year, and I never thought I could do anything about it, because to put it in perspective, he's half cob, half paint, essentially, apparently. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
told. No one knows who his parents are. um, but so a friend of mine, she told me, have you thought about putting a blanket on him? I'd never thought about it. And she actually helped me find what blanket suits him. And it just calmed down. And like last year, when I started to put the blanket on, he went from this really thin, like tight bodied guy, he was like, like that, to when I took it off, his body was all relaxed again. So I
Yeah.
thought, he needs the warmth. And for the first time since I'd known him, and I'd known him 5 years at this point, he slept in the winter, and I'd never seen him sleep before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
So
you just don't know sometimes, do you? And you just gotta learn from,
bit of
whatever.
trial and error, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's an ever expanding kind of lesson, isn't it? You do your best, and sometimes you come across new knowledge, and then you change what you do, and you keep going. But it's a lot of. I've certainly been in positions like that where I look back and go, "Oh, I wish I'd done something differently, or I should have thought about that differently." But you don't know what you don't know, which is why I just think such a big part of owning horses should just be keeping an open mind. You could have easily turned around and gone, no, he's fine. He's a cob. You don't need
Mm,
a
that's what I
rug.
did for a while.
No, but
um,
my point is that you could still be sat here going, he doesn't need a rug.
yeah.
And you could still have
Yeah.
the issue, it's you you tried and it worked, and that's why it's important, isn't it? Keeping an open
Yeah.
mind.
I think what has come up a lot in our conversation is you talk about how you continuously learn. So, what sort of your biggest, or, well, what's your most influential resources slash your biggest go-tos for growing your knowledge?
Ooh, okay. So any Jamie Jackson book really is kind of like you absolutely have to read if you want to kind of get into track systems and understand horses from a like a nature point of view. Um my mum taught me a lot as she learned. I'd spend hours and hours down there, and she would teach me what she had learned, and we talk about things. So my mum was also like a huge teacher, but in terms of actual resources, I interviewed Jamie Jackson last year and then the beginning of this year, and I also made quite good friends with his wife, Editor Jackson, and I found her to be a really good resource. She's so knowledgeable, as obviously Jamie is as well. Um, so I find like recently I've been in a position like the last few years where I've befriended people, or I work with people who are knowledgeable and are very willing with their advice and their support. Like Sue Dawson from Calm Healthy Horses is another one. I can message her anything and she will explain it in
Mm.
great detail. Which is how I learned a lot. But if I was to actually recommend what other people do, I would start with the Jamie Jackson books, and kind of go from there. But yeah, there's been so many people that I've learned from that it's kind of I couldn't list them all. But to be honest, I also try to learn from people that I don't necessarily agree with. So, for example, I'm pro barefoot. I will never shoe my horse. But that's not to say I won't read something that a farrier has written and to understand it from their point of view, because I might not
Mm.
agree with it and it might not necessarily make sense to me. But I think learning how other people view the world and why they do what they do is a really important part of making the decisions I make with my horses and with the
Mm.
magazine and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd absolutely recommend Jamie's books. There's also Jenny from I can't remember her last name, but she's just Calm Healthy Horses. She's based in New Zealand, and she writes really, really interesting information on how grass and hay and stuff affects horses. She coined the term grass affected horses. So it's basically she explains how grass can not only just affect them metabolically, um, you know, contribute to laminitis and stuff like that, but like even down to like their behavior and their skin changes and crazy like vision, all sorts. So yeah, there's loads of people in the track community that are just so giving with their advice.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, another one would be Georgie Harrison. She's our kind of like resident hoof care practitioner for delivery. And she again is trained by Jamie, but she's had her own experiences as well. She's worked with loads of different professionals. But I could go down any time, and then you should be there, and I'd ask like, what's this or what's that, and how does this work, and what does that do, and she'd spend the time explaining it to me, and like I learned a lot through that way. So I think it's really, for me, it's been about making connections and showing everybody the same level of respect, regardless of whether I agree with someone or not, and also passing on that information that I learn as well. Because I don't think anyone should kind of like gatekeep their information. I think the more that we can share
Yeah.
and help each other, the better. And I really don't think anyone that's like trying to keep that to themselves is doing it for the right reason anyway. If you love horses and you want horses to, you want to see improvements in the horse world, I think you should be, giving out as much information as
Yeah.
you can all the time. So it's
100%
it's
agree.
it's really been
Yeah.
so many people that have kind of got that attitude. There's really not one type of person. I've had like, even people through the magazine as well, like I've learnt from, again, not always agreed with, but it's interesting to hear how they work and why they do things, and
Mm.
um their stories and stuff. It's even like just Joe Blogg's owner. You should listen to what everyone has to say, regardless of whether they're a pro and they've been doing it 20 years or whether they're a horse owner and they've only done it for a year.
Yeah.
Everybody has something that you can potentially learn from. You just have to, like I said, keep an open mind and do your research as well. Like, you don't have to just listen to the first person that comes along. Research it's an important part of horse care, I
Mm.
think anyway, is to kind of make sure that your decisions are based in your understanding of how or what's best for a horse, as opposed to what everyone else does, or um like what you've been taught. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but it's a big subject. There's just so many
It
people.
is. I mean, yeah, I feel like we could talk for hours on that one.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
what I'd like to bring in, yeah, at some point in the podcast is your magazine. So how did you get into it? What inspired you to start it?
So because of my health conditions, I have to be a bit savvy with work. And I've always had a passion for writing, and like creating and stuff like that. And I was able to do that through PB because I would write the posts on the social media, and I did the blog posts, and I worked with our clients as well, um, which was great. But I kind of craved more than that, so I started writing for another magazine. Not as like a hired professional or anything else. I wanted to build a portfolio up of topics that I talked about or pieces that I wrote. So I did that for a short time. I wrote just sent pieces in to a magazine. I had like a regular slot for every issue. And then it got to a point where that didn't kind of work out anymore, and I was like, right, I'm not done with this. I wanna keep going. And I was talking to my mum actually, and I was like, I've sent emails to everybody and I'm not hearing back, or, I don't really know where to go from here. Something like university wouldn't be suitable for me with my health conditions. I have to be very, very careful. I can only really work um part-time. I work full-time on the good days, but on the bad days, like, I have to be very careful. So I'm not very reliable in that way. My health fluctuates a lot. So I really didn't feel I had many kind of options. So, like I said, I was speaking to my mom, and she was like, well, why don't you just start your own magazine? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I was like, "Oh, actually, no, I'll do that. That's a good idea." Um, I kind of just came to the understanding that if no one wanted to, if I wasn't gonna get anywhere trying to write for other people, um, then why not just do it myself? So I'd had like several years experience writing for like I said, our livery, and then for a few different magazines, and for some other people here and there, but nothing kind of like crazy. And I'd had some media experience in college. I managed to do a few years at college on a part-time basis, and I learned how to use Photoshop there. So I was like, right, okay, I'll give that a go. I was like, well, no one else is doing anything like this. I know there's a few podcasts out, and there's lots of books, which are brilliant. It's also needed, but I saw this kind of gap in the market. So, yeah, I didn't, I will admit, I did not really think it through much. I was just like, oh, okay, that's great. I'll do that then. So I did it. I was, I remember finishing the first one, and I did not anticipate the amount of work that was involved in doing it. It was a lot, and it involved a lot of things outside of my comfort zone. I started interviewing people, which I hadn't done before, and I started writing on people's experiences, and I'd include other people's articles, and it kind of blossomed from there. But the night before the first issue, I was absolutely terrified. I had dreams about it actually, all going terribly wrong. I was really, really nervous, but I had such great feedback from it. I was like, okay, I'm doing something right. But to me, it was never about the audience or earning any money from it or anything like that. I went into it wanting to provide um a resource for people that kept true to the Paddock Paradise concept as Jamie had produced it. So, at least I found within the track community that there was a lot of confusion around how a track should be, or what is right and what is wrong, and why people were struggling. So I really wanted just to provide a straightforward kind of information, kind of inspiring based magazine that people could read, and it would provide clarity, or it would provide advice and support and inspiration. I really wanted it to be something that people read and felt encouraged to start their own track or to persevere when times got hard. Because obviously running a track is not easy. It does
No.
take a lot. So, I really just wanted it to be something that would benefit people. And I really didn't care if that was like one person or 100 people or 1,000 people. It just mattered to me that I was doing my part, um, within the track world, or within the
Mm.
equine world, should I say, to leave it a better place than when we found it. Um, so yeah, it's been amazing. It's been brilliant. Still terrifying, but I think I'm getting the hang of it now. So but
I
yeah,
bet
it's
younger you wouldn't have thought 25-year-old you would have your own magazine.
oh no, absolutely not. Yeah, the whole Jamie Jackson interview was
That must have been
absolutely
surreal.
crazy as well. I was absolutely bricking it. I was terrified. I mean, he is the loveliest man that I have ever met. He is, I really didn't know what to expect because, like, he was just this bloke that, I say just, but he was this bloke that, I'd idolised but never knew, obviously.
Mm.
And then meeting him, he was so lovely, and I was so nervous, but he was absolutely brilliant, as was his wife. But yeah, I kind of came away from that like, oh my God, if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be interviewing Jamie Jackson, I would not have believed you. So yeah, it was absolutely nuts. I'm just gonna turn on a light because I think it's going a bit dark. Oof, there we go. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely been a big thing to get my head wrapped around. And I do have like moments of doubt where I don't feel as if I'm the right person for the job. Not because my heart's not in it, but because there's so many more people that have a better understanding of certain things than I do. And there's been times where people haven't been very nice as well on social media, which
Mm.
is just to be expected. But I've had a few confidence wobbles, but with that, I think I try to keep the whole reason I started it at kind of at the forefront of my mind is, people can say what they want. They don't have to like it. I don't have to sell loads of them. If I help one horse and one owner through sharing this information, then that's all that I care about. So
Yeah, I feel the same. I'm just like, it's helping horses and we're helping humans to help horses. Um,
exactly, exactly.
no matter how big or small that impact is, collectively, if we're all doing something, that collectively is such a big thing. And like we mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, the growth in track systems is phenomenal. Like,
Absolutely.
I absolutely love following people's Instagrams on tracks because you can just sort of dream away looking at them, can't you?
Oh yeah, and it's so nice to see as well. Like people get so excited, and like so kind of blown away by the results that they're seeing as well. It's really nice to see. I mean, I'm interviewing someone at the moment, and for the next issue, and talking to her was so refreshing. It's always refreshing, really. I talk to so many brilliant people, but yeah, I was talking to her, and it was so refreshing to hear how kind of passionate she was about just giving her horses a great life, and it wasn't about anything other than that. And there, it's lovely. I'm the exact same. I look at all these Instagram accounts, and I'm like rooting for them across the pond or whatever, and it's Yeah, it's lovely. We really are kind of like starting to build a community where people have each other's backs and we're all kind of learning
Rooting for
and
each other, aren't we?
yeah.
Like
And I think that's
singing each
so
other's hymn
important.
sheets. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
Especially, when we're kind of like a very small part of the equine world, there is a lot more to it than just us trackies. So, and like that sometimes comes with um a bit of judgment or a bit of abuse off people or whatever, but having a community that is so supportive of each other, I think is a huge reason as to why tracks have developed the way they have.
Mm.
Jamie really did create this amazing concept and he's saved so many horses' lives with it, but
Cool.
he is one man, and I think his idea being shared by many people, um, it needed to happen to get the word out there.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned it before, but I had on a previous episode, not this episode, but I'll bring it back up. I had a really bad relationship with social media until about a year ago. And then it started to connect me to so many like minded people. And I'm like, I'm not on it for the likes, for the comments, for the shares. I mean, that's kind of nice, but it's like the connections you get with individuals who think and feel and perceive things the same way you do, where you just want to do your very best for your horse and that the horse comes first. It's just really wonderful. And, you've got people of all ages with that mentality as well, all over the world. And that's just so, in a time when the world, if you read the news, it's very depressing, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
You know, I
absolutely.
just, I just have this wonderful, like, thing called horses and the people that I know from that. And that just is all I need, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you say as well, like the ages and stuff and like the different people doing it. I was very like self-conscious about my age. I was very lucky to, for the most part, have been brought up with tracks and like barefoot horses, and I learned as I grew into an adult, obviously. But I've met people that are like really young or my age or maybe a bit older, and their mentality and how they approach everything is so refreshing.
Mm.
Um, and it really is lovely because then you get like people that have, like my mum, for example, that kept horses traditionally for God knows how many years. Um, and it's almost like this age barrier comes down that I feel is more prominent in like the traditional world is, oh, I've kept horses for 30 years, I've always done it this way, and I'm not listening to anyone that isn't, as experienced as me type of thing. um you find people of all ages and all backgrounds and whatever just learning from each other and sharing stories and hyping each other up, and it's brilliant. It's exactly what we
Mm.
need as a community.
Yeah. So I think this would be a really nice time to bring in the questions that we
Okie
tend
doke.
to ask people. So we did kind of cover this earlier, but if there's anything else you'd like to add, then feel free to. And it's what's gifts the English. What gifts have you received from horses that keep showing up for you or are kind of valid at this point in your life?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the ones I said earlier about being present and keeping an open mind. Um, I think probably just I'm like a great believer in we as people um should constantly grow and work on ourselves, and that to me kind of translated from horses or into horses as well. So um I work on myself a lot personally, getting out my comfort zone, challenging certain behaviors or thought patterns, because I feel like that's how you grow as a person, and that's an important thing to me. But I also feel like that kind of started from horses because, like I said, although I was very lucky to grow up in this kind of way of keeping horses from a young age, it didn't mean that I wasn't challenged on certain views or and opinions. And I think kind of linking to the open mind, really, it's encouraged me to keep growing both as a person but also as a horse owner. So those challenging beliefs that I have as a person about anything, or, kind of stepping out my comfort zone, also goes over to how I keep my horses and what I think and what I might do. So I've always believed that your ability to self-reflect as a person greatly, greatly affects how you as a horse owner are as well. I think they go hand in hand. And that for me constantly comes up in my day-to-day life where I might have like an immediate reaction to something. Um, but there's that part of me that goes, hold on, I need to think about this. And I need to challenge this and understand where it's coming from because my horses deserve the very best of me. And I can't do that if I'm forever stuck in the same mindset. So, yeah, but that probably kind of interlinks with like keeping an open mind and stuff. But I just think you as a person need to grow, personally and as a horse owner, I think.
Mm, that's really, really nice. Yeah. Just smiling. I'm just smiling for people listening. I'm smiling. um, Next question is, what message do you want to send out into the horse world about horses?
Oh, okay. I there's so many. Unfortunately, there are so many. Um, I don't know. I think to me the biggest one would be to set ego aside, to set whatever beliefs we have aside and look at your horse first and foremost. They're the very best of teachers that we have. And if we learn to listen to them and we learn to appreciate them and understand them without this kind of set view we have of them, as if they're machines or they're toys or we pay for them, so they should, exist this way and that way. I think if we erase all that and we look at horses for just what they are, this animal that is at the whim of kind of our choices and our decisions, and we listen to what they're telling us without all that kind of noise, that background noise. Yeah, I think if people just learnt to do that, if they learnt to listen to behaviors and they learnt to recognize X, Y, and Z, then we would have a lot more happier horses. I think we, as a community, the equine community in general, I think we have a habit of kind of associating different things to kind of like half-assed excuses, really. Like, my mare is behaving this way because she's a cow, or she's a mare, or she's
Oh,
hormonal.
yeah.
That's a perfect example. Or, oh, this horse is just cribbing because that's what he does. He's a thoroughbred. These are all to me just excuses that hide a much deeper, complex meaning. And it's our responsibility as owners to not let convenience or ease or tradition stop us from doing that. And then probably the other thing would just be to build on knowledge as a person, as an owner, sorry. I mean, we work with like anxious horses and grass affected horses and resource garden horses and all sorts, but our kind of like speciality at the livery is EMS laminitis, and it's I don't say this to be hurtful to anybody, obviously, but it's genuinely scary how many owners don't have any kind of knowledge on it. To me, that should come with having horses, should be having a very basic understanding. You know, I'm not asking you to be able to identify every single part of the horse and the hoof and to explain to me what like this like how this hoof capsule functions and all the like really small working parts, but having a basic understanding of the diet and the horse and what their needs are as a general, I think should be every horse owner's priority.
Yeah, like a bare minimum, really.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
It's genuinely scary how many horses or
Yeah.
clients I've worked with that have horses that are like chronically laminitic and the owners have no clue.
And people see laminitis as a primary disease, but it's not. It's a secondary symptom of an underlying issue.
It's a whole body issue, isn't it? It
Yeah.
affects them head to toe. It's never just a foot problem. It is really a huge, complex thing that, despite being super complex, a lot of the time has a really simple solution. And if we as owners are able to kind of prevent the onset of it anyway, you know, our horses are better off for it.
Yeah.
Knowledge. Just learn as much as you can. It can't hurt to learn, you know. You will only benefit from it, and so will your horse.
Yeah. Here. I really like this question. This is quite a fun one. In your case, if your horses could tell us about you, what do you feel they might say? Like if they were right here on this podcast and they were like, "Hey, Maddie, blah 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 blah," what would they say?
Oh God, probably not good things. Oh God, no, what would they say? They'd probably say that I don't bring them enough snacks. That I'm crap at scratching them. I'd hope that they'd turn around and go, "You've given me a good laugh." I really do hope they'd say that. And they'd be like, "Yeah, she's all right. She feeds us and she checks we have 4 legs and, you know, she's kept me with my friends, so she's pretty decent." I think they'd complain about me mostly though, that I'm probably quite like, "Oh, just give me love. Can I have some cuddles and kisses?" And I don't pay them enough in treats, so.
Do you know what always cracks me up is when you give them their daily feed buckets and they behave like they've never been fed.
Oh my God. I know. My lad Pie, you can feed him, and we have like feeding pens at delivery. You can feed him in his feeding pen, and then you can leave him for an hour, and then go back to the same area. Not necessarily near the feeding areas, but in the same area. He will put himself in the feeding pen again to be fed. He will do this several times over if you are on that part of the track. He's just like, "Where's my food? Where's my
Give it to
food?"
me.
I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
Pie, you've already eaten, buddy."
I had it the other day. I was there all day basically in the morning, and my mum came later on in the day, and I fed them when I got there. Like that was the first thing I did. Like 9 o'clock in the morning, fed them their buckets. Then she said to me about 4 p.m. She said, "Did you feed them their buckets yet? Because they're kind of acting like they haven't had them." I was like, "I did."
It's trickery.
They're just deceiving you. Don't give them anything.
Oh, my cat is exactly the same. He will literally act like he is starved.
I'm just looking behind me because I thought mine was there, but she's gone. But anyway.
Oh, bless her. Oh,
She's
yeah.
called Cheryl. She occasionally
Cheryl.
features on the podcast because she just goes,
Oh.
meow. Sometimes I listen back to episodes, I'm like, is that Cheryl?
I'm sure if my door wasn't shut, my cat would be all over my laptop. He's adorable, but he's very clingy, bless him. But yeah, it's they're the such
We
funny
welcome all animals on this podcast. From what have I had? I've had seagulls, cats, flies, and horses, of course. So,
Oh, brilliant. Someone's got to bring in
oh,
like
and
a
dogs.
reptile at
We've
some
had
point.
dogs. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be one at some point.
Like a lizard or a snake, just
I'll
for
let you
fun.
know.
Now I'm hoping.
Right, anyone who's listening who wants to feature on the podcast, you're definitely welcome if you have a pet snake.
Yep. You don't have to have anything good to say, just bring your snake.
Just bring the snake. Oh, now I've got that. I'm a snake.
Oh, I love that. What is it? I'm a slippery snake.
I'm a slippery snake.
There's probably people listening going, what are you going on about?
Just Google I'm a snake if you don't know the reference.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it.
And then you won't get it out of your head.
It's addictive.
I'm going to jump off this and watch it. Anyway,
I don't blame you.
I've not watched it in years.
I was going to say it's been around a while, hasn't it?
It's a good one. Anyway,
Definitely recommend listening to it. Especially if you're having a bad day. Good pick me up.
hopefully we've made you laugh. Anyway, now my face hurts. Okay. What music reminds you of your horses?
Okay. Dancer. I can't remember what the name's called. It's a theme song. It's like the it's like a something hill theme song. It's like the really silly music. I can't remember what it's called. Hold on a second.
You're going to have a quick Google. I sometimes do that.
Oh, the Benny Hill theme
Benny Hill.
music.
Oh, yeah.
That would be Dancer. And then I feel like Pie, bless him, I love him so much, but Pie would be like do 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 do. He's just, bless him. He's there's not much behind the eyes. I love him so much, but he's not the smartest, and he's quite slow just in general. He just enjoys doing his own thing at his own pace, bless him. So I feel like that would be quite well suited.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to find a reel afterwards with that Benny Hill song, because that's where I first heard it, right? Because you see these reels of like animals doing silly things. Anyway.
Yeah, that would definitely be Dancer. She's just like a walking comedy show.
Would Pie be the one brain cell memes? Like my horse has one brain cell. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I love him so much, but he's not quite with it all the time. Bless him. I think he only kind of like he exists for food and probably food only.
And that's absolutely fine.
It is. We accept them the way they are.
My last question, which I didn't give to you in advance, but I like to surprise people with it.
Okay.
What or where makes you feel wild?
Ooh, wild. Oh God, okay. That's a tricky one. Ooh, where do I feel wild? I don't know. I love like obviously being with the horses, and when they're like cantering down the track and you're on the track, that's pretty like wild though. I would say, well, if I look back at past memories, like sometimes I've just gone fully clothed and like stood in torrential rain and just like proper gone into kid mode and just rolled in puddles and like got completely filthy. And for me, that's just like the best thing ever. It makes me feel like very free. I don't know why, but what about you? What makes you?
Mine is the Mendips, which is where I live.
Yeah.
um, because I have a whole like woo-woo theory behind it all. But um, I feel I was meant to come here and live here, and I'm going to grow a lot from being here on like a deeper level of consciousness and reconnect
Oh,
myself
yeah.
to what is the wild woman. So I've read or no, that's a lie, don't lie. I am in the process of reading Women Who Run with Wolves. It's a very tricky book to read, and it's taken me
Oh,
3
really?
years to read 20% of it, because it's
Oh,
just
God.
like, it's a bit like Jane Austen. You sort of go in there and you're like, oh gosh, this is really heavy, but this
Yeah.
is really powerful writing, but it's really heavy to read.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I picked it up again recently, like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I kind of get it now. So I actually started reading it a little bit faster. And
Yeah.
the thing that's changed between now and the last time I picked it up is I've moved here.
Yeah.
So I find that quite interesting. And
Oh, that's
I don't
nice.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, the first time I went up on the Mendips, it was way before I lived here. I just felt like I'd come home.
Yeah.
And this was before the horses, before everything. I just felt I'm home.
You're at peace kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that feeling has just grown every time I've gone up there and just felt connected to the earth, because there's like this moor, and it's like on the top of the hill, there's this old settlements, like remnants of ancient monuments. And you can sort of see a couple of what's probably houses. And it's just like, this land is so old and it's seen so much. And up there are the Exmoor ponies as well. And the Exmoor ponies have lived in the UK for 150,000 years.
Yeah.
So those ponies are connected to this deep ancestral wisdom as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes me feel wild, and what what rewilds me.
Yeah. I love that. That's really nice, actually. And I think, like, from you saying that, like, I think I kind of like experienced that in like Scotland. Like, I've been going
Mm.
there since I was a kid, but specifically like the Highlands. There's just something about there being nothing around and
Mm.
just nothing but nature, and like untouched nature a lot of the time as well, that just makes you feel like completely, in like a really, really good way, just completely like, I don't know, like alone. I know that sounds weird, but just like you've gone back to, I don't know, the land almost, and
Mm.
nature. And I love that feeling, especially when you're in like a really dense woodland as well. That just, I get that, like I don't get that feeling often, but like it's been in places like that where there's more nature and isolation, I would say, than there is like people and like buildings and stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I really like your answer. That's really nice.
Thanks. I liked yours too, because I kind of know that feeling where it's just like, yay, and you're just full of excitement. And yeah, nurture your inner child,
Absolutely,
don't
yeah.
suppress her, love
Exactly,
her, nurture
exactly.
her,
Try to let
let
her
her
out.
run free. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Is
That's
there
very.
anything else you'd like to add
Ooh.
before we
Um,
wrap up?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if I think if like people have listened to this and they haven't like necessarily heard of tracks before, I would just say that I think go read Jamie's books, and kind of see what it's all about. It really is like life changing, both as a person and as a horse owner. Um, there are so many benefits, and not only do you get happier horses, but you get your relationship with your horse also improves through giving to them. Um, but yeah, he's got the Natural Horse, which is a brilliant book. There's obviously the Paddock Paradise book. There's Laminitis, an Equine Plague. And then I would just just recommend, doing as much research as you can, really. But yeah, if anyone's interested, start there. Join the horse track system group on Facebook as well. It's
Yeah.
filled with brilliant people that are lovely and supportive. And yeah, really. Oh, also, like, obviously you could check out the magazine. That'd be great. But
Yeah, check out the magazine. Hang on. Da-da-da-da-da. It's not the most intact copy in the world, but da-da. I'll put my, hang on, my camera's on, like, what is going on? This is where I need to edit this out at some point. How do I turn off the background blur?
I have no idea how any of it works.
This is a mystery.
I couldn't even tell you
Visual
had the
effect.
background blur on.
There you. It's blurry though. Look, what if I put it on my face?
Oh, yeah, it kind of goes in and out. There we go. There you go. Yeah.
I just not.
Well, I'm glad it's been like well read, so or well used.
Yeah, it's also lived in my work bag for a little bit too long. So next time I might put it in a folder and then it won't get so eaten.
No, you should see my copy. It's absolutely smashed to smithereens.
But yeah, no, do check it out, people listening.
Yeah,
it's wonderful, and it brings me lots of joy looking at that. I don't know why.
That's that's a photo from our livery, actually.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
yeah.
My
Anyway.
mum's horse is the one in the background, and then Jack is the horse who was on livery. He's on livery for rehab, EMS, and Lammy.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two on the front cover.
Yeah. And there's also lots of wonderful pictures of hooves as well in this edition. Ta-da.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's filled with like some really great people and their kind of like stories and knowledge. So it's obviously not just me. It's pieces from all sorts of people that are just wanting to kind of get the word out there and share what they know. So
yeah. Well, thank you for your time and getting your word out here this evening when we've been recording.
Thank you for having me. No, really, thank you for having me. It's been really nice really refreshing conversation, and I just, put me anywhere and talk to me about horses, I'll be fine. So
you said some absolutely like wonderful sentences and like quotes somewhere in what we've just recorded as well, which I look forward to go back and hearing.
I'm glad.
But yeah, thank you for your wisdom and your insight.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to help in any way I can. So I'm glad it didn't all come out as gibberish as one normally does gibber.
Well, except I'm a snake laughs, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Before I actually stop recording, where can people find you if they don't know you?
So on Facebook, my magazine page is called Happy Tracking Magazine. You can also visit the website, which is www.happytrackingmagazine.com. I'm also on Instagram under the same name. And if you're interested in kind of following more of like the work we do as a livery, with like the rehabs, and we put out loads of like free information, and we do webinars and workshops and stuff like that. If you follow PB Paddock Paradise Livery on Facebook, or you visit our website, www.pb-paddockparadiselivery.com, there's loads of information on there. We also actually, we've got like a free, I can't think of the name now. It's like a free self-help guide to identifying whether your horse has laminitis or EMS signs, that you can download from the website. We've got some health trackers that help people track their horse's symptoms to eliminate triggers. So there's just loads of really helpful information scattered across both websites. But yeah, normally
That's really
Facebook's
cool.
the place to find me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you again.
Yeah.
It's I've had a really good evening actually.
Yeah, same. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
I can't remember a time before you walked into my life. You took the broken parts of me and made it all alright. There's an easiness to your grace that I will never know, and every day this feeling only grows, and every moment with you just bleeds into one. Your easy smile greets my eyes just like the morning sun, a reflection of my soul, one heart that beats for two. Just know, my love, that I will carry you.